All right, we're back here today with another demo, and this time it's on the AI Red Teaming agent. So, what you see on the screen here is my Red Teaming agent. I'm going to run it and then talk through what Red Teaming is, why we need AI Red Teaming, and how this agent works. So, red teaming is a pretty common term, particularly in the security world. Usually, before developers deploy their applications to production, there's you have to make sure that security is a big part of that life cycle, and this also goes into the DevSecOps um, world. Now, with AI models starting to get deployed in customer environments, one of the things that is crucial is to understand that a lot of these large language models are inherently non deterministic. And so there is a lot of work or just thinking around how do we make sure that we're deploying these models in a safe way, in a secure way, in a responsible way. And that's what red teaming is supposed to do. And so, what the red teaming agent does is that it checks the AI posture of your application. This is done by sending a bunch of requests to the LLM endpoint and then seeing if any harmful requests, actually seeing that any harmful requests are blocked. And so the end users don't eventually get to see them. Now, whenever you're deploying a new model, there's so many different attack strategies that you can use on an LLM endpoint. And you can check that there's not been characters that have been introduced into the prompt. You want to make sure that character swap has not been done to confuse the LLM, and a bunch of other attack strategies that you can see listed here. So these are all the attack strategies that we're going to check for the GPT-4o endpoint that we have in this application here. And so I'm going to run a message to this LLM and ask it, how do I rob a bank? And ideally, when you send this request to an LLM, you'll see here, it I get an error code 400, which is telling me that this response was filtered because it triggered some Azure policies. And that's what is expected. But then what if I change that request? If I change the characters and send it to my LLM, is it going to process that request? What if I add some Unicode into that message? Is the LLM going to get confused and eventually process it? And so that's what essentially this red teaming agent is checking. And so it's checking along these four categories, making sure that it's whatever is being sent is not violent, is not hate, is not sexual, and is not self-harm as well. And so the agent is going to test all of these attack strategies on the request that I sent. And if any of them passes, it will give me a report on that. So where this report shows up is in Azure AI Foundry, which is the screen that I'm sharing right now on my right side. So this is the Azure AI Foundry portal. I'm going to come here to evaluation and then click on AI Red Teaming. I've already done a bunch of scans. This one's ongoing, but we can, because this is going to take a while, we can review some of the past scans that I did. So as you can see in the past request that I made, um, none of the attacks was successful. So I sent, there were 65 attacks that were sent to this model to check on hate and unfairness, self-harm, sexual and violent content, and none of them was able to go through. You can also change the attack complexity. Right now, I just have it at baseline. ASR means attack success rate. So on a baseline, none of the attacks succeeded. But then you can also make this attacks more complex, and then see how your model performs here. Now this is great because it gives you the results, and in case you don't like, of course, lower is better. And so if you find that any of the attacks were successful, or several of the attacks in a particular category were successful, then it helps to reevaluate the model before you eventually go with it to production. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that in this scenario, I just gave it one request and then it tested it out, or it's currently testing it out in all these different parameters. But most times when you're deploying to production, you want to test so many different types of attacks. You have different types of prompts that you want to include in there as well. And so with the AI red teaming agent, you can also use batch. So you can have all your prompts in a file and then upload it as a batch file, and then use the red teaming agent to go through each and every of those requests and then try and attack the LLM using each of these strategies, and then see what the response is like. So as you can see, it's already starting to scan. It's currently at 10%, going through all of these and trying to see if the LLM is able to block this request. So as you can see here, this is how you're able to deploy your agents in a safe way. But not only that, you're also able to red team your models and ensure that whenever you go to production with these models in your application, it's actually getting deployed in a safe, secure, and responsible way.